Have you ever been to a city that just stinks? I have. Actually, more than a few. One isn't too far away from where I am right now. It's called Newberg, Oregon. They used to be horrible. They've gotten better. Newberg had a paper mill and a sewage treatment plant right next to each other. If the wind shifted, oh man, it was rough. We were looking for some real estate once, and we drove right into Newberg and got a whiff, and my wife just said, "Nope, turn around." I agreed with her. I turned around. There's a lot of cities in the United States that stink, and that's what we're looking at today. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Texarkana. Texarkana is a city that straddles the border of Arkansas and Texas. Technically, it is two different cities, but, nobody really looks at it that way. It's just one city. And it sits about 180 miles east of Dallas, Texas. They have a population of about 36,000 residents on the Texas side and about 29,000 on the Arkansas side. So it's got a good amount of people, and all of them suffer through foul-smelling air every single day. It's like some sort of Greek sauna with no air circulation. Texarkana is a city of many smells. First of all, you got paper mills. Paper mills stink, as you'll learn as we go through this list. On top of it, it's in that Louisiana, Arkansas, East Texas area, and that just smells like swamp most of the time. I've been to Texarkana a few times, and even before I ever thought about doing this, I remember thinking to myself, this place kind of stinks. One man who reviewed Texarkana on Area Vibes said it smells like feet, pickles, dumpsters, manure, and cat food all at the same time. Not really a glowing endorsement of Texarkana. If you want to live in this stink, the typical home goes for about $189,000. Number 9, Fresno, California. Fresno, California is in the middle of freaking California, way away from the beach, right in the middle of the farmland. And if you don't know, farms stink. Now, this isn't all the time, but the few times I've been to Fresno, there's like no wind. So the air is stagnant. They've got their Hyperion plants or sewage treatment plants, farmland. During the summer, it is hot as hell, so it just stinks. One man said about living in Fresno, there are 2 reasons most people don't become farmers. It's hard and it stinks. Fertilizer stinks, the animals stink, and you stink 10 minutes into your workday. Fresno is surrounded by farms. Fresno has a population of about 542,000 residents, with the entire metro area having just over 1 million. And if you want to add to that population and smell bad air all the time, the average home in Fresno goes for about $377,000. Number 8, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Cedar Rapids, Iowa is another city that is surrounded by farmland, just like Fresno, with less wind. On top of that, they have the Quaker Oats factory, one of the many grain processing plants throughout this state. Residents say it smells like burnt corn, overcooked oatmeal, and rotten garbage. Yeah, it's just the farmland and those oat factories or, processing plants they have there. They never smell good. Got farmers wandering around town. They don't have the best hygiene habits. Cedar Rapids has a population of about 137,000 residents, with the entire metro area having about 276,000. If you want to buy a home here and smell all that stank, it's going to run you about $189,000, actually almost $190,000. Number 7, Gilroy, California. Now this is one I've been to several times. When I was in the Army, I was stationed in Monterey at Fort Ord. Gilroy's not too far from there. And part of the stink is why I went there. They are fondly known as the garlic capital of the world. This place smells very pungent, and it has to do with the local Olam spices and vegetable factory, along with Christopher Ranch. Every single year, they have the Garlic Festival. The Gilroy Garlic Festival is a big event for this part of California. I think I've been there 3 times, as in my teens and 20s, 19, 20, 21, yeah. I was pretty young, but I used to go there, meet a lot of girls. It was a good time. Sadly, there was a mass shooting at the Garlic Festival a few years back. Such a bummer. But yeah, Gilroy is a very stinky place, and for the most part, it has to do with the garlic. It's grown all around there. It's not just a festival. One man's review said, "You will never find a vampire in Gilroy." In case you don't know, vampires are supposedly allergic or, I don't know if it's allergic or garlic kills them or whatever. It's a repellent to vampires. If you want to live a life in the stink of garlic, you can buy a home in Gilroy for $1.1 million. That's the average. Number 6, Houston, Texas. Yep, Houston, Texas stinks, and it stinks pretty bad. There's a few different reasons for this. One, Houston isn't like, the image a lot of people have of Texas, dry and dusty and scrub. It's nothing like that. And that's really only West Texas where you'll find that type of landscape. Houston is swamp, and everybody knows a swamp just smells marvelous. If you're insane, swamps suck. They're horrible. And it's very swampy around Houston. And if the swamp smell doesn't get you, just wait till the wind shifts and all those refineries and chemical plants send some air across the city. Yeah, it's an all-new assault on the senses. I was just in Houston last January. I was going on a cruise out of Galveston, but stayed a night in Houston, and yeah, it smelled like a swamp the entire time I was there. There was no getting away from it. And it was January. It's not like it was summer. And as you drive to Galveston, you can just smell all that refinery stuff. It's just nasty. One man said about Houston, or one person, I don't know if it was a man or a woman, said nobody has ever moved to Houston for the aroma because it smells like someone's tarring a roof in your backyard. Houston is a city of a little over 2 million residents, with the entire metro area having about 7 million residents. And if you want to move here and smell chemical plants all the time and swamp, you can buy a house for about $269,000. That's the average. Number 5, Jackson, Mississippi. Whenever you're talking about something negative when it comes to states, you can always count on Mississippi showing up. It's like they always want to crash the party. It's like if we're talking about suckage, they have that fear of missing out, so they just show up. Jackson, Mississippi is by far the worst state capital we have, so it should be no surprise that, along with all their other problems, they stink. First of all, if you've never been to Mississippi, the entire state is like a swamp, so like Houston, it just stinks. And then, of course, they've got all kinds of environmental issues going on there, and during heavy rains, their drainage systems overflow, causing hundreds of millions of gallons of raw sewage to spill into the Pearl River each year. Last year, 230 million gallons of sewage spilled into the river, and that's down from a record high of 520 million gallons in 2020. So swamp and sewage. One person said, I was born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi, and it seems like more and more residents are showering less frequently every single year, especially the people that go to Dollar Tree. Jackson, Mississippi only has about 150,000 residents, with the entire metro area having just under 600,000. There is one bright spot to the mess that is Jackson, Mississippi. The average home goes for about $61,000. Yes, you could work part-time at McDonald's or the Dollar Tree and be able to afford a 30-year mortgage in Jackson, Mississippi. But as they say, you get what you paid for. Number 4, Los Angeles, California. This one should be no surprise to anyone that's ever been to Southern California, especially Los Angeles. Downtown is insanely smelly. I mean, car exhaust, garbage everywhere, homeless people living everywhere. It can get rough, especially in downtown Los Angeles. It got so bad with the garbage back in the 80s, some of the suburbs started adding perfume type system like a air freshener to their garbage truck. So as garbage went in, it would spray it down with an air freshener, So for a while there, if a garbage truck drove by, or let's say you were driving behind one, you drive in going, oh, garbage truck, let's get away from this. Oh, wait, pina colada. Now, if you're living in, let's say, the Santa Monica area of Los Angeles Metro, it doesn't smell that bad because the ocean breeze blows it all inland. But you get to like downtown or South Central, there's no escaping the stank in Los Angeles. Now, this is before the big homeless boom. I used to have to go downtown for work occasionally, these different fabric places, and we'd always load up in the back of the building and always smelled like urine. It was just horrible. The good news, if you want to get away from the stink, go down to Redondo, Hermosa, Santa Monica, Malibu, Pacific Palisades, that area, and it just smells like sunblock. In case you don't know, the city of Los Angeles has just under 4 million residents. Might be a little bit over right now. The metro area has over 13 million residents. That's the second most populous metro area in the US. If you want to live in Los Angeles, the average home value is $974,000. And I know a lot of you are all, wait, hold on, wasn't Gilroy more expensive? Well, here's the thing. Los Angeles has a lot of really run-down neighborhoods, and that brings down their average. Gilroy, for the most part, is a really nice place to live, and a lot of the homes are newer. When I say newer, like 1995 on up. Los Angeles, you have people living in apartment buildings that were built in the 1950s, and a lot of homes that were built before cars were common in Los Angeles. Kind of bad, but it's also a testament to how well our homes were built back in the 1930s and 40s and 20s even. Number 3, Dallas, Texas. Yes, Dallas, Texas stinks, much like Houston, just not as swampy. They got their own kind of smell. The biggest complaint most people have about Dallas is car exhaust and dust. That seems to be the biggest complaint when it comes to what you're smelling in Big D. There was also another complaint about Dallas. People wear too much cologne and perfume. Yes, that apparently, something that's supposed to smell wonderful, is driving a lot of people crazy there. When I worked at Netflix, we had a lady we actually had to tell her to take it easy on the perfume. When she came to work, oh my God, it's like she walked through the building and it was just horrible. It was overwhelming. It's like, did you take a bath in perfume this morning? So yeah, perfume can be horrible to some people. And a lot of people in Dallas complained about this. Dust, perfume, and exhaust are what's driving people crazy in Dallas. At least it's not like the old days where the entire city smelt like cow turd and oil. Dallas has a population of about 1.3 million residents that wear too much cologne, and their whole metro area is about 7.6 million. If you want to live in Dallas, the typical home will run you about $316,000. Now keep in mind, that is the average home value. There's plenty of homes that are far more expensive than that in Dallas. I always get that. I'll give the average home value and someone goes, oh no, dude, they're so much more expensive. There's a house across the street from me going for twice that. Yeah, it's an average. Thanks for the one example. This is the average over the whole city. It's like, come on, people. I'm horrible at math, but I understand averages. Number 2, San Francisco. Yes, San Francisco made the list. Imagine that. I mean, their reputation of people dropping deuces on the sidewalk should tell you the place stinks. On top of that, it sits right on Fisherman Wharf, which always smells pleasant. You get near the Tenderloin district, and that has nothing to do with a nice piece of meat. The Tenderloin is where all the homeless people live, and the homeless people, they just got to do what they got to do. Nature calls, and they do it on the sidewalk. One older man said, yes, the homeless people do smell, but it was worse when we had the hippies here in the 1960s. There were a lot of complaints about the homeless and the wharf and basically the ocean water coming in there. It does get windy there, but not like you'll get in Southern California, so the stink kind of just hangs over the city. Again, this is another one where people complained about perfume and cologne. One person said, thank God they outlawed cologne and perfume in my office building. Wish they would have had that rule at Netflix. Still might have hair in my nose. Side note to that, the girls in the office when I was at Netflix and the woman with the perfume, she's a little bit older, she was blonde, and she wore clothes that were made for a 20-year-old girl. Very catty of them, but the girls in the office called her hard mileage Barbie. Yeah, I think it's got to be the people using the sidewalk as a outhouse is what's given the smell to San Francisco. The city of San Francisco has about 808,000 residents. Oddly enough, that is down 7.4% since 2020. That is the largest drop they have ever had. In the 1980s, they lost 5% over the whole decade. 3 years, they lost 7.4%. I think a lot of it has to do with the smell and what's going on the sidewalks. The metro area has about 4.6 million. Here's the crazy part about San Francisco. All that nonsense going on, people are leaving. The average home value is still $1.2 million. When a place sucks, prices are supposed to drop drastically. Over the last year, they have dropped 2%, but the way things are going in San Francisco, you'd think they would have dropped like 20% over the last 2 or 3 years. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to any one of these stinky cities and you're looking for a real estate agent, there is a link for Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, New Orleans. Yep, congratulations, New Orleans. You stink. And there's a lot of reasons for this. 1, it's swampland, completely. People drink too much and they use the sidewalk as a urinal, especially in the French Quarter. And then, of course, you have the Mississippi River flowing right through town, and that does not smell too good. And it's not just flowing through one part. It's winding its way through the city. On top of that, you got lakes, creeks, ponds, and everything else around this city. It just makes the whole place smell. Last time I was in New Orleans was a year ago, February. Yeah, and it stank. It didn't have to be summer. It was cold, well, relatively cold, and it still smelled really bad. I love the city. It's a good time. If they could just hang a giant air freshener on every building, it might be a really nice place to visit. New Orleans has a population of about 385,000 residents, with their whole metro area having about 1.2 million. If you want to live in New Orleans, the average home goes for about $247,000. That's not a bad price. You just got to deal with, Mardi Gras and the stank. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.